welcome to another episode of Data Gurus. I am so excited to have Alex Hunt, who is the CEO of Behaviorally, join me today. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Sima, and thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. And, I appreciate your commitment. It's Friday evening and we're recording. So I thank you very much for that.
It's Friday, mid afternoon on Friday. You're generous, but it's almost cocktail hours, so we're almost there.
Yeah. Next time, in the future, we'll have a cocktail and celebrate the episode. Listen, you have had an amazing journey in your career, and I would just love for listeners just to hear a little bit about your background before we get to Behaviorally and your focus there. A little bit about your journey up to Behaviorally.
Yeah, of course. Well, look, I got into the industry like I think the vast majority of people in data and insights by complete chance and by complete.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was planning to go to law school, didn't.
Yeah.
Went for some jobs, and one came up at Norwood Brown, which is now part of Cantor and their grad
Right.
training program, and took it. On the first day when I arrived, they informed me I was in quant, and I was just a bit disappointed because the people who were told they were in qual got a company car.
Oh no, because they had to drive everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Time and huge disappointment, but I got over it and found that I loved it really. So
Yeah.
did a wonderful stint at Kantar. Really got to work with some incredible brands at a really early stage of my career, and got very close to clients. Worked in the UK and the US, and after 6-7 years there, joined at the time a company called Brain Juicer, and we were really building out the US business. So
Okay.
opened offices in Chicago, LA, ran the US and LATAM business, and then the global commercial business. So I think it was around 9-10 offices. And I think it really helped on two levels. I mean, one, we were just pioneering behavioral sciences across market research, and it was a fantastic value prop at that time. And then secondly, just entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
We were a fast growing, disruptive company. And it was just a wonderful experience to be a part of. And that business is now called System One, after Daniel Kahneman, who's very sadly recently passed.
Mm.
And that really pulled me up to joining Behaviorally, or PRS in Vivo as it was then in 2018.
That's so exciting. Let me ask you, when you were at Millward Brown, were you doing syndicated tracking or were you just doing custom ad hoc research?
Yeah, we were doing really custom king and custom copy testing was really our bread and
Got
butter.
it.
A lot of brand equity work
Yep.
as well, and it was quite a shift to move over to Brain Juicer at the time. Not
That's
so
what
much
I was asking,
but
because it's a little different, right? To go into
yeah,
the neuroscience. Yeah.
nation and certainly now packaging and visual assets with Behaviorally.
That's very cool. So you decided to then at the time go to PRS Vivo, and what made you decide that was the company that you wanted to do in your next leg of the journey?
Yeah, no, it was a fascinating opportunity. When I joined the business, it's really a market leader in its particular domain,
Yeah.
packaging, but really in need of a business transformation. And it was just a challenge, but was incredibly excited to
Yeah.
take. Um, so it's been an interesting 6-year journey with lots of highs, lots of lows.
Or
Um, but I think what really struck me at the time of joining was it was a terrific business
Mm.
that had a lot of the answers in terms of how to transform itself. It knew what to do. What it lacked really was the process and the determination, the leadership, and the focus to actually execute. And that felt like a good fit for what I wanted to spend some time doing.
It's fantastic. And for listeners, just let's back up for a moment. Please can you share what behaviorally actually focuses on?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
behaviorally is really the market leader for all things packaging, either at the physical shelf or the digital shelf. Um,
Okay.
our mission really is to help clients win at the point of purchase, right? That's literally the most important moment in marketing,
Yeah.
when the consumer actually selects your brand
Yeah.
and packaging. If you're on the digital shelf, those visual assets really are just an incredibly important component of that most important moment, and that's where we spend all of our time. And in that, we're lucky enough to work with really a who's who of the leading manufacturers. We work with 75% of the top 20 CPG brands in the world. We're their chosen provider for packaging insights. And particularly for digital shelf, we've really been lucky enough to partner with many of those brands to co-develop new solutions for digital commerce.
That's amazing. Do do you find that consumers are finicky at the point of purchase in terms of how they choose product within a certain category?
Yeah, I mean, it really goes back to behaviorally's core beliefs, right?
Okay.
All around behavioral science, and
Yeah.
people think a lot less than they think they think.
Yeah.
Um, so for behavior, um, that means creating fantastic context, to really replicate as best we can store environment. Now, when I joined the business, the way that we did that was really important, right? Through a
Right.
network of labs. That sort of approach, it was incredibly accurate,
Right.
wasn't particularly scalable, and frankly, it was outdated from a client perspective. So what we've really done over the last 6 years um, is three things, right? First of all, we've been much more consistent, productized in terms of
Okay.
by behavioral science. So we've
Right.
built products. Um, Secondly, we've leveraged technology to create the same context, the same
Mhm.
position, the same accuracy, but doing it in a digital way. And because we've productized and we've digitized, we've built fantastic data sets uh,
Right.
around packaging, be that brick and mortar shelf, be it for the digital shelf, that we're now only just now really starting to tap the potential of really.
Mm. So in the prior to doing the digital transformation, if I recall correctly, I might not be remembering this properly, you would recruit people into a lab, but you would mimic a shelf on a digital screen and then see what consumers would pick and choose, or was it really a physical shelf?
No, it was a real physical.
It was.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
I
cool.
think there's a real sort of story in there about the power of digitization, and you
Yeah.
sort of think about the journey in two ways. One is shelf creation, right?
Okay.
So when I joined the business, a client would come and we'd spend an awful lot of time putting a planogram together, right?
Right.
It
Yep.
might take several weeks. We'd literally send people out to purchase products,
Yeah.
photograph them, and then we'd have to ship those products to recreate the shelf to a particular location. So as you join any business, in a leadership role, you start to look at the cost structure. And
Yeah.
I noticed our second largest supplier was FedEx. And it was sort of,
Mm.
how are we spending, well into seven figures a year on
Shipping
ship?
product.
Um, so today, what do we do? Well, we've databased every shelf that we test, right?
Wow. Yeah.
All of those visual assets stored. And whenever you get a proposal from behaviorally to some work at shelf, we actually can generate a shelf in real time, and we provide it in the proposal just as a startup. So you've gone from a sort of process that
Yeah.
takes weeks and a lot of pain to a process that takes literally minutes, and it's good enough to make an accurate prediction, right?
Mm.
Another example would be we would invite consumers into the lab,
Yeah.
long process, 12 weeks, 16 weeks perhaps. $500,000.
Yeah.
Today, we source our consumers via online panel,
Sure.
but to a survey environment that is really thoughtfully constructed,
Mm.
into a context that can provide an even more accurate prediction, right? We
Mm.
know that it works because we've triangulated that prediction against sales data. So it's no longer necessary to do that in person unless there's some really specific structural
Yep.
change to the packaging.
Yep.
Um, and again, you've taken a process from 16 weeks down to a matter of days, and soon to be minutes, using our AI tools. And so it's really a story. The story behaviorally is the story of the complete transformation of
Yeah.
sites. And, there are still legacy companies, legacy market research firms out
Sure.
there. I'd be surprised, frankly, if all of them are still in business.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's from there.
So I know change is not easy, right? When you have people within your organization that have done things because we always do it this way, and you have clients who have come to accept, well, this is the norm. This is what I d- give me a sense of, like, what are some beliefs you held true through that transformation, because I I can empathize it. I know it's not easy because humans typically don't like change.
Yeah, I think in any leadership role,
Yeah.
you have to have two things really straight in your mind.
Okay.
Um, the first is the direction of travel, or in other words, being on the right side of history.
Right.
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 So, um, for me, that core belief is that the power of technology is just
Mhm.
irrepressible.
Mhm.
Resistance is futile.
Mm.
Development may be fast and then slow, fast and
Right.
slow. But the march of technology and its capability to make better methodologies,
Sure.
add immensely faster and reduced cost. And if ever there was an industry that needed disruption, it would be the
Was
data and insights industry.
Yeah.
So, you want to be on the right side of history. And so when, you sort of encounter resistance, be
Yeah.
that either internally or at the client, you have to go back to that core belief, right?
Right.
What's your core belief?
Yeah.
Think that really does motivate you and allows you to stay the course, and it allows
Mhm.
you to stay focused on executing on plan versus chasing chasing
Right.
the day to day compromises.
Right.
So that's one. And I think the second, at least for me, um, is just doing the right thing, right? You know, we've always said, and as I always say to the team, your ethics and your integrity, that'll
Right.
stay with you long after whatever crisis you have passes and
Mhm.
subsides. It'll be with you, what you believe and what you stand for will be with you long after your first client has left the business. And so as long as you always do the right thing, um, you'll be absolutely fine. And certainly, with behaviorally, particularly, um, over the last 6 years, we've had moments where it has been important to do the right thing.
Right.
I can be more proud of our team that we've shown the highest of integrity at all times, really.
I love that. I love that. I hope that we hear more of that, because I think that makes even the reputation of research continue to increase and really be associated with good values and ethics. Not that it is now, it's not now, but I think with this transformation of technology and other data sets that could be potentially used for decision making, the reputation just needs to continue to be reinforced in terms of its ethics and integrity. The one thing I wanted to ask you is, like, I truly believe, like, if you have a vision, you stick to it, you know what side of history you're on. Did you ever waver at all? Was there ever, like, do you remember ever having, like, coffee and, like, is this really the right thing? Did you ever have those moments?
No, and I think I wouldn't confuse that um with not questioning. And I
Sure.
think the
Yeah.
constant question
Okay.
this the right thing?
Yeah.
Is this the right strategic move? What are the risks here?
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, if you believe, um, in the vision and you've set a really clear strategy that
Yeah.
you're, confident in and has been stress tested, um, often I see businesses then get distracted, right?
Right.
Change is
Yeah.
difficult.
Yep.
Execution is often less glamorous side
Sure.
of running a business.
So
And
blocking and
you have to
tackling,
stay
right?
on
Yeah.
track, right? You have to stay on track. And, there's very little room for self-doubt. You have to
Yeah.
trust the processes that you put in place and frankly, trust the talent that you've
Sure.
put in you.
Did you recruit a new team? Like, what's the composition of the people in your team as you went through this transformation?
Yeah. So absolutely, right. You have to build a team to
Mhm.
execute on the vision. So we have a real blend of folks within behaviorally. At the executive level, it's a mix of long-standing employees, but
Okay.
new talent brought into the business to execute against specific objectives. So, one of our objectives was to reglobalize the business,
Mhm.
rebrand, and we hired a fantastic leader in Crispin Beal to help us build that
Yes.
network. We've gone through a carve out and had to bring in a professional CFO to just help
Mhm.
us manage some of the reporting requirements that we have for our shareholders.
Right.
But I think within the business, as well, there's been a complete change, in personnel in
Mm.
places, right? As we've professionalized sales,
Yes.
that requires a new talent set. Um, we've moved from a model, which was a classic sell and deliver model,
Yep.
uh, to a new vertical expansion sales team,
Yep.
key accounts, to make sure that our top customers are really well looked after. And as we productized, we've been able to put a lot of the delivery into a center of excellence, which is far more scalable.
For
And it makes
sure. Yeah.
any product delivered in any market looks and feels the same and frankly uses all of our best thinking. So it's been a complete change really in the capability of the team on a rolling basis and really been a priority of mine throughout.
That's fantastic. And that change is not easy either, going from a seller doer, seller deliver model to now having a professional sales organization and knowing where there's those lines start and end, right? In terms of different groups. So that's fantastic. Um, Listen, we know AI is here. We know technology continues to accelerate at lightning speed. And I'm just curious your thesis on how that plays into behaviorally for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think it's going to upend the entire industry. I mean, I
Okay.
absolutely feel we're at the beginning of a wave of change. As with moving online from traditional fieldwork
Yeah.
capabilities or behavioral science improved our methodologies. Both of those waves of change took a decade to really mature.
Hmm.
I think with AI, perhaps it won't be a decade. Things
I think it'd be
move quicker
small,
now.
shorter window. Yeah.
But it'll take time, right?
Yep.
And the way we look at AI, there's two opportunities. And really we're using both now. The first is the more conventional productivity gains, right?
Sure.
So, if we just even look at qualitative, right? We now have a platform that summarizes all of our qualitative
Yep.
immediately at the end of the exercise. It's shot days
Yeah.
of data analysis. Doesn't get all the way there,
Right.
but certainly it's a productivity assistant. And we'll see that in the quantitative world
Sure.
much more heavily. I think more interestingly, it's, well, how does it get us to better solutions? And
Mm.
for us, look, we productized and digitized, we built the behavioral database. AI is really the key. And we're seeing that in evidence. It allows us to marry all of those data points with sales data,
For
and
sure.
predict with much greater precision how strong this packaging or a visual asset is. I think, it um, allows us to scale up.
Mm.
Really partnered with Unilever to scale up to the speed of the digital shelf in a way that a traditional insights methodology just cannot. And even in our core business, right, it's taken the time it takes to understand a piece of packaging, from weeks in person to days with online sample,
Sure.
right the way through to not talking to consumers, just using vision recognition,
Yep.
getting an instant read. And so you're getting a better, faster, and cheaper solution. So I
Mhm.
think for us, disrupted ourselves once. We're very keen to do the same thing again, and are actively working on it.
Working towards that.
Yeah,
So
the
so
vision.
so
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that the vision to the future for us. I think anyone who's in the prediction business would say the same thing. We
Yeah.
predict behavior at the point of purchase transaction. We'll see more predictions, higher volume, probably lower cost, but we'll
Yep.
see a huge increase in all of the supplements around it. So the need for our judgment, qualitative, we're already seeing booming
Mhm.
because people still want to talk to people, right? You know
Yes.
exactly what it
Yes.
do, but we want the understanding.
Yeah. Delve deeper into the emotion around it. In your vision, is it using your historical assets to be able to predict how a certain package might be, um, not consumed, selected by certain consumer groups without doing the actual primary research, but using historical data?
Yeah,
Or
we're already doing that now, and
okay,
the historical data at the moment is probably at peak value. Um,
yeah,
over time, and I think this will also be something that really alters a little bit the dynamics of the business. You know, the models will be built on feedback data, and so
yes,
more data from clients as well.
yeah,
And that's going to have to become part of the insight work,
yes,
in essence, in a way that, frankly, it's surprisingly not right now.
I agree.
And so that's again something that we're working with our clients on to make sure that we're getting the right ongoing training data as well to constantly improve. That old saying that you know 50% of my marketing budget uh, doesn't work. I just don't
Right.
know which half it is.
Yeah,
Going to become not true
yeah.
in too distant future.
I hope so because it's
It
been
might all
been
sudden-
said for hundreds of years, I feel like at this point, right? So that will be a welcome change in terms of actually understanding the return on investment for marketing advertising dollars. Clearly, you're excited. You're excited by transformation, by technology. But I'm curious, what makes you nervous? What makes you what keeps you up at night as it relates to the business or the industry?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of uh, standard answers around data
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
all of these things. I think in full transparency, I think it's
Sure.
that the notion that this could be a missed opportunity for the insight
Mhm.
industry.
Yes.
We have an opportunity now to lead, uh,
Mhm.
and if not us, then
Somebody else.
but if we don't,
Yeah.
somebody else
Yep.
sure will. And I think um, you know, behaviorally such an interesting company in that we are the market leader in our domain. There's no
Right.
question. But what what's wonderful about our culture is that we are open to disruption, and we've always felt much better cannibalizing ourselves than have someone else do it to us.
For sure.
But I do worry whether some of our larger firms in the industry, inevitably are less open to that idea and not moving quick enough could
Mm.
have a real missed opportunity for insights. And I think that is definitely something that I think about a lot.
Yeah. That's actually yeah. I think that's a very important observation, and I often wonder, are people collaborating enough, to be able to ensure that the vitality of the industry continues to move forward? Because everybody's doing really innovative things, and everybody has a thesis, and, every individually and firm-wide, people are investing in their thesis, and I hope that we can share more, and rationalize our thesis and kind of not everybody has to share their secret sauce, but w everybody's moving in a similar direction and at the same pace. So I could not agree with you more. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining me today. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and we've seen each other so many different times. I've really I really appreciate the opportunity to talk one on one.
No, absolutely. Really, really enjoyed the conversation, and thanks for having me
Yeah,
on. No, thanks
and
to
you,
anyone who's listening.
thank you, and you'll have to tell me how it sounds when you listen to the episode when you're driving home.
Yes, I inevitably will. So I listen to my own episode versus someone.
Also,
All
it's
right.
very weird in the beginning, as you know, but yeah, you get used to it. Well, you have your podcast, so all right. Thank you so much.